Hi.
Hi, everyone. This is Jenn Mortimer, and Jen and I have. I was just talking to your husband Eric the other day, and referring to when you and I would have met maybe 10 or 12 years ago. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember when, but just so long ago.
It may have been at a party at my place, and
Oh,
and
maybe.
and because you guys were just starting to date, I think, and
Right. Yes,
very early days, and
yes,
and
yes.
Eric and I were deep in our men's team stuff, and
Right.
at the
Yes.
time, and so it was we were uh, very intent that all our men should uh, be prepared.
Be prepared
Yeah,
for.
well, to be prepared to be, successful in relationship, to
Okay,
be,
gotcha. Yep.
and to um, make good decisions, because we're kind of sometimes uh, um, likely to make emotional decisions sometimes, and or when I look back over my life in relationships, sometimes I made decisions just because I didn't want to be alone,
Right.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, maybe not the best reasons, and so he had a whole team behind him.
Yes. And I'm glad that he did because, through the years, the men's team, I think, has really supported him and so indirectly supported me. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure, both of you. Yeah, that's the deal. We're all about you know men doing well in relationship,
yeah.
and showing up, and,
Yeah.
and so yeah, Eric and I've been on team together, I think, for 10 or 12 years.
Fantastic.
And yeah, there's lots of. How's the last year been for you? I mean, we're all been hibernating a bit, and
Yeah. 2020 for me, honestly, um, it was a really interesting year. Eric and I, early in the year, I have to think when we did it. No, he came back from the States right when COVID hit.
yes,
And then we quarantined. Then with COVID, we decided to do the 75 hard challenge, um, to level ourselves up. And we did that. And that would have been in March, the
what's a
end of March.
75 hard challenge?
75 hard is 75 days. And I got to remember now, you do a gallon of water a day, you read 10 pages a day, you do two 45-minute workouts.
Oh my
One
God.
of them has to be outside. And then there was something else. And you take a picture of yourself every day. There might have been one other one, but essentially that was it. So we started that in March, and we got about 3 weeks into it,
Yes.
and my dad passed away.
Uh,
So I went to Ontario to be with my mother.
yes. Yeah.
My sister flew up from the States at that time too. That was right in the height of COVID. I call it COVID craziness because nobody knew what was going on. When I went to the airport, I was the only person going through security, if you can
Wow.
imagine that.
And that was before masks and stuff, wasn't it?
No, well, it was before it was mandatory,
Yeah.
but we had a friend that kind of came and equipped me with everything I should do and
Yes.
know. Um, so then I was a month in Ontario with my mom, and the blessing from COVID is that we probably wouldn't have stayed as long, but we had to quarantine there.
Yeah.
And so I was there for a month with her, came back, started to, just slowly get back into work. So that would have been, it was April, that would have been May. So mid-May, late May, started to get back into work. and my father passed away in June. So basically just 2 months after my father passed, my mother passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I was back in Ontario for another, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, working on the estate. And again, my sister flew up. So it has been a very disjointed year. The reason why I mentioned the 75 hard was I was doing 75 hard all the way through my father's passing. And I decided that I was just going to carry on. The day I found out, I said, I'm just going to do what I can do. Managed to get through that day. And again, it was a blessing in disguise. Oh, that was the other thing. Yes, no alcohol and no junk food, essentially. And so it was a blessing, because I really got to feel the pain.
Yes.
And process it in a way different way, full out. So yeah, so as I said, very disjointed year. This year is much different, come back, gone through Christmas, New Year, and now it's kind of a clean slate, and everything's great. So compared to last year, absolutely great. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we've all had to pivot a bit on how we're going to make our offerings, how we're going to be involved in the world. And you and Eric have had to kind of change your presentation, what you're doing, how you're giving your gift away. You did some work the last couple of years with Kaylee.
Callie, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, with Bold and Visible. I was in her beta group
Yes.
that she did. I'm losing track of time as well. It was about a year ago. The Bold and Visible monologues.
Yes.
And, I cannot thank Callie enough for that work that I did with her, because it changed. I went in, wanting to achieve certain things, as you always do. You set out your goals, blew past those goals, and got so much more. It fundamentally changed my way of being and showing up
Yes.
in the world. So absolutely.
So does it have, that work you did with her, have anything to do with the presentation for what you're doing this weekend?
A little indirectly, yes. Part of what my business is genuine health, and looking at health in a very, very holistic way. And a lot of our health, we know the nutrition side. I shouldn't say we know it, but we have our ideas on the nutrition and the fitness.
Yes.
And it's so much bigger than that.
Yes.
So much bigger than that. And some of the work that I did with Callie in shifting some energy is around the somatic work, and our vagus nerve that runs between our brain and our gut has huge impact. Our gut actually houses or produces rather the majority of our serotonin and dopamine. So those are our happy mood hormones.
Yeah.
And so when you can remove those energy blocks in your nervous system, things start showing up differently, and you start showing up differently. And so that was part of the transformation that I experienced. And part of that I will bring into my workshop. And I have a 10-week program that will go into a lot of that, some of that work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're helping people to be more conscious in their health, like with their immune system, with their overall health.
Yeah. So part of what sparked me is I've had a lot of experiences where I've suffered, and I've seen other people suffer unnecessarily. And it really, really irks me to see that, you know, I, having gone through going back to school and looking at my own health and connecting the dots, realized that, you know, I was waking up like 6 months every night in pain. Didn't need to do that, right? My dad ended up on kidney dialysis after an induced coma, and they left him in, damaged his kidneys. Well, if I would have known now what I knew, or if I would have known
Then what you know now.
then what I know now, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
He might never had to have been on dialysis.
Ah,
Nutritionally, there's so many things. If you can, it's what you said. If you have the agility to pivot where you need to go,
yes.
then that really is a gift. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about a little bit in the workshop, and in greater depth in the longer program, is knowing your edge and being able to pivot. Like, we all over exercise, right? We've all had that experience. If we don't do enough weight, we're not moving, we're not growing. But if we do too much, it can be damaging on the other side of the scale. So it's really knowing your edge. And it's the same way for your immune system and your health. And the first part is to connect with your body and know your body, so that you can know your edge and you can listen to its innate wisdom. So that's where Cali stuff comes in a lot, is that somatic experience, is really knowing your body.
Okay.
So.
So what would people, how do we motivate, you know, say there's somebody that's watching and you know, a lot of times, I'll speak for myself,
Yeah.
you know, of course, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not motivated to learn sometimes what I don't know, because I don't know that I don't know it.
Yeah.
And you know, so often we're not looking for solutions unless we have symptoms. You know, we've gone past the time when we could have been proactive, and we're now reactive because, you know, the body's falling apart, or we're falling asleep in the middle of the day, and you know,
Yeah.
we're wondering what's going on. Or
Yeah. And I think that the thing is, we've come so complacent about our health,
yes,
and accepting all of these little things that we think are normal aren't normal. And so I think, what if people understand too, what happens is when we hit our 30s and into our 40s, we start feeling the effects of our entire lifestyle, nutrition, um, fitness, mindset, everything. And it starts to catch up with us. So, I mean, you can choose to be reactive, or you can choose to be proactive, right? And if you are proactive, you can avoid a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. My mom, she was 89 when she passed. She essentially was driving up until the day before, 2 days before she passed. She was pretty much healthy, she was walking without a cane. She was in overall health. And I truly believe she died of a broken heart. They are together, what was it, 65 years.
wow,
So yeah, crazy. So yeah, you can choose to be reactive, or you can choose to be proactive. And it depends how much you want to suffer,
hmm,
really.
hmm,
And it's never too late. It's never too late. And the other thing that I've come to really realize, and I'll talk a lot about this, is it's all about energy, right? It's how you have energy to sustain you through the day, because that's really what we're looking for,
yes,
right?
it
Yeah.
is. So how long have you been, you know, has this been a passion for you?
You know what? Even in high school, biology was my favorite class. I didn't go into the sciences, into nutrition at that time for several reasons. Ended up in the hospitality industry, which did me very well. But it wasn't until I had a series of things happen to me personally
Yes.
that I kind of said, you know what, this is it. And I got the divine, that wink that here's an opportunity. And I followed up and went back to school. And then I've been kind of going full on, as it were, with the exception of, this past year, which kind of took me off path for a while. So yeah, I've been loving it. My mother's, I grew up knowing from my mom that, there's nothing that an Epsom salt bath and an aloe vera plant can't heal. And so that was her mindset, and I adopted that mindset myself. And so a very natural approach to healing and knowing your body's wisdom.
Okay. You're the people that would normally come to like your workshop on Sunday. Is it Sunday?
It's next week. So there's
Next
a little bit of time still to register. Yeah.
And this is kind of an introductory workshop, isn't it? It's a free one?
Yeah,
Or-
it's a free one. It's January 30th, 1 to 4 p.m.
Yes.
And it's really to just to really start to get a feel for feeling into some of these things and discussing some of these things, broadening your view on health.
Yes.
And the other thing that I found that on my journey is that I really had struggled with, as a lot of people do, implementing things. I had never been astute in the kitchen. I needed that recipe. I needed to follow it to a T and make sure it was a fail-safe recipe. And so when I switched over to different style eating, I had a hard time. So
Yes.
part of what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time in the kitchen on at the workshop, and so that you're not alone. We can do it together.
So how have you been changing everything so it's online? Has this been a challenge for you?
Yeah, and that's it did delay it quite some time, because ordinarily I'm used to doing workshops in person.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of readjust. I mean, even camera angles, right? Like it's okay to sit here and do this, but if there's a multi-tier component where there's a component in the kitchen and the component here, it's a little bit different. So from that through to, it's very experiential. So how to change it up into a Zoom environment.
So you're doing it on Zoom, and
Doing it
are
on
you
Zoom.
using multiple cameras?
Yeah, I have 2 cameras that I'll be using. And I still have a little bit I want to try and improve the angles. I'll be working on that this week. Yeah.
Nice. I don't know. I think that so many of us actually are going online with our message, or with our, it's happening a lot, and I think people are interested in just that little detail. So how are you doing it with the cameras? So are you running it through a program on your laptop and then to Zoom, or are you going to have 2 different cameras in Zoom at the same time?
I'm having 2 different cameras in Zoom at the same time.
Okay.
So I'll just at one point I'll switch cameras. It'll be set up, ready to go.
In the kitchen, one will be in the kitchen, and
Essentially, yeah, exactly.
good for you. And who do you think is your target market? Who would you like to have come?
I think really the target market, I mean, anybody really can benefit. Who doesn't want more energy, improved health? That being said, I think that the people that will identify with it are those that, exactly what I said, in your 40s thereabouts, you start to feel the effects, and you start to feel the grinding and the inflammation and the bursitis, all of those kind of things. You start to have maybe a few stomach issues and that kind of thing. There's so many simple solutions that I'm so passionate that people not suffer unnecessarily.
Sure. I'm a big turmeric fan.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Turmeric every day in my diet and in my
Yeah.
coffee.
That's awesome.
I blend my coffee in the morning with and collagen, turmeric,
Nice.
also lion's mane, mushroom.
Yeah, I have pretty much every day a mushroom tea latte of some sort. And actually that's what we are going to be making on Saturday next, on the 30th, is a turmeric latte.
Oh, nice.
So it's my own recipe.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like perfect. So it's actually one of my clients. I usually like ordinarily to meet my clients when I do one-on-one consultations. I
Yes.
meet them first in person,
Yeah.
because then I make them a latte and they can try it. And then that's just like a little introduction to some of the different
Yeah.
recipes and different ways of integrating these superfoods and these wonderful nutrients.
I do, of course, MCT oil with that, and
Yeah.
grass-fed butter,
Mhm.
organic grass-fed butter, which is for, you know, half a pound of that stuff's about $6. It's not,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I use one of my favorites is coconut butter. My granddaughter's, it's one of her favorites too. She'll
What kind
take
of a
some
coconut tea butter, or
coconut butter. So
yeah,
it's manna. So it's not the oil.
yeah,
It's the manna. You
I
can
have
get
it.
it just about anywhere. My
Yeah.
favorite source is Light Cellar, because it's just so creamy and rich.
I buy it there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So you know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
Wants to. We're going to do an interview with Malcolm coming up
Oh, awesome.
in a bit,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yeah, one of my favorite stores.
yeah, and over the last couple of years, I've interviewed him a couple of times. Even, you know, when he was moving to the new store and went
Yeah.
down, you know, it was easier to do face to face
Yeah.
in those days, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
so this is good. This is more of a passion for you, I think, isn't it? Than this is like what you love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just interviewed a client that I just finished up with, and he said, you can just you, I felt your heart, and that made all the difference. And
Mhm.
that heart is because it is a passion of mine. I love it.
Do you think that, I mean, what's happening for me right now is I'm cooking way
Mhm.
more. I'm
Yeah.
home cooking way more. I mean,
Yeah.
I've spent most of my life eating out,
Mhm.
and now this last year, you know, I'm making more salads. I'm eating, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. And I think the thing too is that, part of what damaged and did me harm was I kind of had a cherry picking approach to the information out there.
yes,
Oh, turmeric is really good for you, or, this is really good for you, or that's really good for you. So I should take it.
yes,
Well, it turns out that not everything is great for you. It depends on your body. Each person's
yes.
body is different, and it may or may not be good for them. But unless they know their body, unless they know their systems, their issues, their goals, then you could be giving
So
yourself something that's not so good for you.
you help them with that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's going to be more in the 10-week
Yeah.
course that I'm doing. We'll be doing a full nutritional assessment based on body systems, and take a look at um, where they're at. And part of that, knowing your edge, is knowing where where you're at, where you want to be, and what are the possible paths and things that will help you get there.
Did you talk about exercise as well then?
Yeah, we'll talk about exercise, not in great depth,
Yeah.
but it depends on the goal that an individual has in mind. Weight loss is a different goal than mobility, right?
Yes.
So we'll it's the 10-week program is quite in depth, quite comprehensive, looking for huge transformations, and there'll be a component in that program where we'll work on integrating foods week to week, um, based on like their assessment. It'll be all based on that,
Nice.
and
What
we'll
about
look at
sleep?
recipe development, etc.
You talk about sleep?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll talk a little bit on the 30th about I have, it's called the Genuine, with a J, wheel of health, and sleep is absolutely one of those spokes, and how to optimize your sleep.
My son Regan is really big on sleep, and he
Mhm.
bought me at Christmas time. He brought me an eye mask. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
he my room at night is not that dark, and it's made a difference.
Yes. Yeah.
He and also I got some of those blue blocking glasses.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so that that I put on in the evening, you know, yeah, a
The
couple
keys.
hours. Dave Asprey, you know, Dave Asprey's with he's
Yeah.
the
Yes.
bulletproof guy, and
Yes.
he's big on the blue blocking glasses,
Absolutely.
and
Well, and that's the thing, a lot of people don't even think about like our cell phones. One
yes,
of the biggest culprits, right? We
yes,
are chemical and electrical organisms. So we think of the chemical thing of nutrition and how
yes,
it affects our body, but we don't often talk as much about all of the electrical in our house and our phone and everything else, and how that's affecting our biology as well, and
yeah.
our body systems.
Yeah, well, I know
So
with the blue blockers, melatonin then starts
yeah,
be, even though I do take melatonin at night uh, as a supplement,
yeah,
um,
just don't take it long term.
um, well, it's already too late. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
uh,
See, yeah.
Bruce put me on Hoffman years ago, and
Okay.
he said, in your 50s, your body just produces way less, and this is a hormone, and
Yeah.
it's so I probably do 90% of the evenings when I go to bed, I take melatonin, or else what happens for me is I'll wake up about 4 or 5 hours later,
Yep.
and 4 in the morning, and I'm up, but I'm sleeping way better with the eye
Yeah.
mask.
Yeah.
And the other thing that my son Regan suggested is that he said, "Dad, earplugs,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
The
because
sensory.
noises in the house wake you up, and
Mhm.
the longer you can stay in that deeper sleep, and the healthier it is for the body. So
Yeah.
sleep is a big deal, isn't it?"
Huge, huge. And another option is for sleep is GABA. And I've taken both melatonin and GABA, and I find better results with GABA.
Gabapentin.
It's a precursor to melatonin,
Yeah.
and it's not a hormone. So, and it will help you get into that sleep
Mm-hmm.
and sleep. I just find that I fall asleep better, more easily, and I stay asleep better. I have other issues, sleep issues that I'm working on, but that's being a woman and dealing with
Mm-hmm.
those issues as well. So
Mm-hmm.
sorting those out. But and that's where too some of those issues that I'm dealing with now
Yes.
are because I didn't know what I didn't know even 10 years ago.
Yep.
And I did damage to myself, and now I'm paying the price. Right? It was okay back then, but now I'm paying the price. So really important to get that comprehensive viewpoint
Yeah.
and
The other
strategy.
thing I'll bet you go in is about drinking lots of water or fluids that are,
Yeah.
not coffee or not caffeinated, or, you know, not pop.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I drank a Coke. Like,
Oh, no.
but I used to. I remember, years and years ago, I used to go to 7-Eleven and buy big gulps. You know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it was just a big thing of sugar, and,
Yeah.
and
Oh, absolutely.
it,
Absolutely.
but it would just to, I couldn't imagine. But
Doing
people
that.
still do it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, they do. But absolutely, water is so incredibly important.
Yes.
We are chronically dehydrated,
Yes.
and we don't realize it. By the time you register that you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
I put a little cranberry in mine,
Nice.
a
Yeah.
little lemon,
Yeah.
and actually sometimes little beet powder that I buy at
Right. At light
Al-
color. Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
lights
other
out.
thing that the latest one that I've done is in the winter, I want more warm drinks. And so I'll have golden berry and rose petals. It
Wow.
makes a beautiful tea, just a very light, lovely, kind of a little bit sweet, not terribly sweet, but just a little bit.
You
So
know,
very
all
nice.
of this sounds to most people would sound like, well, these are normal things. But if
Yeah.
we don't kind of pay attention to this, or it's not front of mind, you know, I remember when my dad was in his 70s and trying to get him to drink water. You know, I was probably 15 or 20 years too late with,
Mhm.
you know, and he just, for him to have a glass of water was, it wasn't even in his sphere. You know,
Perfume. Yeah.
he didn't
Yeah.
consider that. And I think there's a lots of folks in their 50s and 60s and that just they don't drink water.
Mhm.
And,
Well, and I think that it's a journey, right? I look at where I was 10 years ago,
yes,
and Eric and I have made such, I tell the story. I was he surprised me one year for Christmas and got me a Vitamix. And we
okay,
started
great.
doing that's when we started doing
Yeah,
we ate okay before, but we
yeah,
started doing the smoothies.
yeah.
We started doing homemade soups. And it's about integrating these over time. And I just, in putting my program together, I thought, what would I have wanted if I were on this path of getting healthier? What would I have found helpful? So that's what I've integrated into it, is that component where we can work together and integrate these wonderful foods. Yeah.
Yes, and the practical stuff like sleep and water. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it comes back to, again, it's knowing your edge.
yes,
Is that okay? So today I have a really stressful day. Well, what am I going to do? Okay, what can I do to mitigate the effects of that stress? Well, I can ground myself. I can put my feet on the grounding mat. I can meditate. I can make sure I'm drinking my water. I can make sure that I am taking my supplements that support my system. And you can shift and change. I'm exercising more today, so I have a heavier workout. I might add a little bit of supplements, or I'll make sure I'm higher on the protein. It's about managing your energy day to day as everything in your world changes, right?
wow, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, I mean, we change, our age changes, the seasons change. There's so many changes. We never ever have the same requirements day to day.
So
We have
paying
basic
attention,
ones. Yeah.
w- not just paying attention, but knowing what it is we're paying attention to or for,
Yes,
and
exactly.
so the change in our activities for the day, but also the change in the seasons and the change in our age, are
Mhm.
all play a part in
Yeah.
how we look after ourselves.
Yeah, like, we're in winter, so I've upped my vitamin D, right?
Yes,
And and with COVID, I've upped my vitamin C that I normally would
yeah,
have, just to,
yeah. I
ensure that
do
I'm on
zinc,
target.
zinc, C.
Yes.
My vitamin D, I take about 8 or 10,000 a day. You know,
Mhm.
but I've always taken vitamin D for a long time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
for ages. You know, but usually only four. I used to take 4,000 every day, but
yeah,
I kind of doubled that.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, and the main thing for me too is a big one right now is rebalancing my gut. I got Christmas, I kind of got out of sync a little bit, just that whole tail end of the year. Um, and so right now I'm taking probiotics mainly to balance my gut, because I know that my mood is tied to my gut.
yes.
My serotonin, my dopamine is produced there, and so I've got to take care of that balance of it and make sure it's really healthy.
Isn't that funny? I mean, that can affect our relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. And and we don't think of these little things, and that's what I
Yeah.
want to bring to mind to people, is like, yeah, if your gut's off, that can affect so many different things, and we don't think of
You
that.
could be grumpy
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
and not have any idea why. We're like, I don't know why I'm so damn grumpy. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it all be from diet
yeah,
and
absolutely. And here's another one for me. Um, kombucha is great, right? Everybody knows it's a wonderful beverage. My granddaughter even loves it. But for me, um, I need to monitor how much of any specific um, fermented food I'm having, because it's very high in histamines.
okay.
And I have a bit of an issue with histamines. So again, what might be good for somebody else
Yeah.
may not be for me or you, or that kind of
Yes.
thing. So it's so that blanket covering statement of, oh, kombucha is great, I should drink it. Well, yeah, maybe, maybe not,
Yes.
right?
Well, good for
Know your
you.
body.
You know what? I wonder. I had a cold for quite a while. This
Mhm.
the last and some days I wasn't sure whether it was a cold or whether it was allergies. And
Right.
and uh, and I was really looking at what was I taking in my coffee because I had quite a bit
Mhm.
some different mushrooms and some
Mhm.
mushroom powder and all
Yeah.
of the things I told you
Yeah.
in my coffee. And so I've done some days without some things and just to see, what was happening.
Right.
But I think it just turned out to be a cold. But it's
Yeah.
watching though to see.
Yeah. And that was one of my issues, honestly, was for years, every October, November, every single October, November, I would get sinusitis.
Yes.
Sinusitis to a point where I would be in bed. It would be that painful. I would be on antibiotics because it had gotten that bad.
Yes.
Now that I know what I know, I haven't had a sinus issue for, how long have however long I've known what to do,
Yes.
I've not had a problem with my sinus.
Wow.
And I recognize, because I'm more in touch with my body, I can recognize the signs that, you know what, if I do this, it's going to get worse. I'm going to back off and do this. It's that agility that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's being able to maneuver.
Well, I think so. After you've taken somebody through the 10 weeks, or
Mhm.
you kind of an ongoing consulting with people, or would you do that?
Yeah, we can do. My ultimate goal is to have people be their own health advocate,
Yes.
to know the key principles they need to know,
Yes.
be so in touch with their body um, that they recognize what's happening
Yeah.
and what should be a concern and what may or may not be a concern, to really trust their body's instincts and their gut instincts. I mean, we use that term gut instincts for a reason. And so they've had improved health. They know what to do in their kitchen. We're even going to talk
Yes.
about kitchen optimization,
Yes.
right? And that sets them on the path. And
Yeah.
then we can and I want to do a kind of a mastermind group after that.
Okay. So I I've I understand that part of the gray matter that we think with is
Yes.
also in our gut. That we actually
Yeah.
think, you know,
Yeah.
uh, our brain is not just
No,
in
it's
our skull. It's actually we have we're just one big brain.
yeah. And we actually, well, you're probably familiar with heart math, right?
Yes.
And the whole principle is that um, instinctually as animals, our body knows before our brain knows.
Yes. Of
And
course.
so it's about tapping into that
Hmm.
and knowing, and not just knowing, trusting it as well, right?
Yeah. The
We've just
physiology.
kind of gone away from that.
Yes. Yeah. The body doesn't lie. And
No.
the uh, Dr. David Hawkins, with the muscle
Yeah.
testing, and and
Mhm.
it's because when it goes through the mind, it's clouded by our interpretations and our conditioning and our, it's
That's,
hard to get a pure thought
yes,
because we have so much opinion.
that's right. That's
It
right. But your body
has
is
no
pure.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's just
clouded by
that.
experience, it's totally plugged into the universal intelligence
Yeah.
in the moment. Well, that's beautiful. And so the more we're in tune with our diet, with our sleep, with our with
Yeah.
exercise, with our body, the more then I think we can be more present,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the whole idea, the whole concept that I have too is that we get so scattered in our approach,
Yes.
right? It's like those people that spin the dishes, like they're on the poles and they're
Yes.
spin here and they're balancing this one and they're balancing this one and they're balancing this one and they're trying to keep we're all trying to keep all of those dishes
Spinning.
spinning. But
All those balls in the air. Yeah.
yeah, but if we took all of those dishes and
Yes.
stacked them on one thing and just kept that spinning, how much easier would that be?
Yes.
Right? That's what I want to do for people is to get that approach to their life,
Mhm.
their entire health holistically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this talk that we're doing right now, I'm going to just kind of play with it a little bit and put it on YouTube, and I'll send you the link, and you can add all of your stuff to it,
Sure.
or you can send me the links and I'll put them all on it, because I think people will be interested on how do they find you, how do they get involved with your free presentation on the 30th,
Mhm,
and it's great that you're sharing all of this and
mhm.
putting it out there for people.
There's never been a more important time to support our health and our immune system, right? And so,
Yes.
yeah,
And
that's
people, I
what I
think,
want
have
to do.
more time now to actually spend time with you, like a 3 hours on a Friday.
Yeah,
Is that a Friday or
it,
Saturdays?
it's a Saturday. It's
Yeah,
a Saturday afternoon. Yeah,
and
yeah, 3 hours.
it's important time. I think
It
it's
is.
so.
Yeah.
When you do this on the Saturday, if they
Mhm.
happen to miss the Saturday, are you going to record it all?
I am going to record it. A lot of it is experiential though.
Yes.
So, there'll be breakout rooms and those won't be recorded.
Yeah.
And going through the exercises,
Okay.
may
So
not
it's
translate. So
beautiful that they be
I
there.
will consider doing it again, but I'll be focusing more on the 10-week program after this,
Yes.
because I really want to get people moving through that,
Yeah.
and supporting them in greater depth for those
Mhm.
that are interested.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, and from there, so I'm thinking that I will do another one, but it probably won't be until late spring,
Yeah.
early summer.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't. I
You
don't yet.
need one.
I still have I had gotten, like I said, I had gotten certain things moving in a direction and was gaining momentum, and then kind of the
Yeah.
wind got pulled
You
out of
need
my
one, because
sails
all
for
of
a bit.
these, I think one of the things we talked about, you could do a 20-minute YouTube video on every one of them, and
Hmm. Yeah.
a lot of interest, I think, in every one of those videos, then are exposed to the whole world. Our market is expanded
Yeah.
hugely, you know,
Yeah.
and every one of them could then direct people to come to your 10-day programs. And, I think
Yeah.
you'd be great on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of ideas right now floating around my head that I'm very excited about.
Write
And
them down.
yeah,
Save.
I have an ebook that I'm going to be putting together too, some of my favorite recipes and sharing that as well, because that's one of the things that a lot of people I find are looking for are those easy to make healthier recipes.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, what are the priorities and the sequence of moving things forward. So
Yes. All
yeah,
right. Well, I
yeah,
think this is great. I think that, enough for today, but I'd love to after you do this, maybe before you do your 10-week, we could do another one of these. And and,
sure, love
and
to.
I want to encourage you to set up a YouTube channel. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would love to be able to access, and with the right keywords, you would get a lot of people coming to your channel, and
Mhm.
you really can be the expert in this field for a lot of people. And
Yeah, I'm excited about the possibilities. Just need to kind of Yeah, get it all together. We're getting there. We're getting there step by step. Step one is the 30th, and then the 10-week program. And, along there, I will be building content at the same time to filter into my website as well.
So when I get this up on YouTube here in a few minutes, I'll send you the link. And if you want to put it on your Facebook and all of that, and so that people can see this interview, that'd be great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'd love to. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, fun to do this. Thank you. And and it's, I think that this is a way for us to also, kind of come out of our COVID shell, to be seen. And this is the new reality in a way. We might be doing this for many years, and, the chances of us being on a stage again in front of a live crowd, I think that's quite a ways away. And so this is it. But this is beautiful because our market, our crowd can be so much bigger.
Yes, that's very true. We can, the extent of our reach is far greater.
Oh, it's exponential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Jen. I really appreciate what you're doing, and thanks for sharing with us today. And I don't know that I'll make it to your course, but I might. I'm going to be around on the 30th. I'll see if I can be part of that.
And I encourage, if anybody is, if you know of anybody that wants to register earlier rather than later, because that the opportunity is to work with me in the kitchen. And what that means is I will send in advance, probably about 4 or 5 days in advance, I'm going to send out a list, an ingredient and equipment list, so that you're making it in your kitchen and I'm making it in my kitchen, and we're doing it together.
Yes.
So
awesome. Okay. That sounds like that's a great way to do it. Okay. Thanks so much. We'll talk again. Okay.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.